We are live with Will Johnson, the founder of Unite America First, and me, moi, the head of American Truth Project, Barry Nussbaum at your service. Happy Thursday, Will Johnson.
Same to you, Barry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think you've noticed the Democrat ticket has picked a vice presidential nominee who has gotten the same number of votes as the Democrat presidential nominee. And by that, I mean a big fat zero. The 70 or 80 million Democrats in the United States never weighed in on either one of these candidates. But don't worry, it's all in the name Democratic Party. That's good enough.
Yeah, they're more loyal to the party than to democracy.
Yeah, it's just a coincidence. They could have named it anything, you know.
Right.
The Freedom Party, the We Know What's Good for You Party. It's don't worry your little head about it party. We've
Or
got
just
this party.
or just be real about it and call it the Communist Party, the Democrat Communist Party of America.
Well, you know what's interesting on that subject, which is not on the topic, but Ilhan Omar just won, and she ran on the socialist ticket in Minnesota, and she doesn't hide who she's affiliated with.
No,
I wonder if the rest of them are going to come out and just tell the truth.
probably not.
So let's talk about vice presidential nominee Tim Walz. It turns out that there's a very radical Muslim preacher, imam, that Governor Walz, who's still the governor of Minnesota, gave $100,000 in public funds to. And this guy is so radical. I'm going to show you his picture. His name is Assad Zaman. He has been the mouthpiece for the murderous terror group Hamas for many years. He publicizes their propaganda on social media. On October 7th, the day that Hamas invaded Israel and massacred 1,200 people, babies, women, pregnant women, men, women, children, you name it, families. The imam says he stands in solidarity with Palestinians against Israeli attacks. This was on the day that there was peace and Gaza slaughtered everybody they could find. And when I say Gaza, I mean Hamas, which is basically the same thing. The next day, a congresswoman from California named Katie Porter condemned Hamas. And this imam challenged the congresswoman to reaffirm the right of Palestinians to defend themselves, because that's what they were doing on October 7th. That was self-defense, where you cross the border into another country and slaughter everybody you can find. And then you kidnap another few hundred, right? This same imam calls Israel an apartheid state, which we've already proven doesn't exist, and promoted a 2015 film about World War II, praising Hitler as a favorite among neo-Nazis. He's been doing this for a very, very long time, and Governor Walz keeps giving him money. Now, a couple of comments. Walz has said, well, I'm not friends with him. Okay, that's great. And I don't really have a personal relationship with him. Well, that's nice. But I've given him $100,000 to promote his views. My gosh, Will, what would happen if Walz became vice president of the United States? The United States has lots of money. They just print it. Minnesota doesn't print it, right? They raise it from tax dollars. What's he going to do if he becomes president of the United States? I'm sorry, vice president.
Ooh, he'll just print it. He'll just print it, and they'll print it and take it at the same time
and give it to lunatics like this imam.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how did he say it? Your socialist might be your, I forget exactly how he said it.
Oh yeah, no, one person's socialist is another person's good neighbor.
There it is, right there. So he'll go, because their whole plan is for them to take from everybody and give it to people like this. They don't have any issues with it, Barry. They're completely open to it. They're actually looking forward to doing such a thing. I mean, it's this dude Walsh is. I mean, oh my goodness, Barry, he's a monster. He's
I've got the next two stories are about him. We're going to talk about it, but in terms of radical Islam, the entire world considers. I'm talking about governments of led by sane people considers Hamas a terror organization, which it is. It slaughters its own people for protests in the street. There was a guy that did a video that I saw on YouTube 2 days ago pleading with Israel to liberate Gaza from Hamas. Hamas saw the video, captured the guy, tied him up, tortured him, and slaughtered him in the street and left his body as an example for what happens if you criticize the government.
like, how dare you ask for peace? How dare you ask for help? How dare you ask for the terrorist organization that is harming you and children to stop? How dare you? And of course,
Oh,
you get people.
that's literally what happened.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and then you get people like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz that would side with these hateful, despicable people. Barry, our society is declining. We shouldn't be talking about these stories. These should just be stories in a book that, like, never would happen. But we're actually talking about this. They're actually killing people because they want safety and security, because they don't want to be tormented day in and day out. And so, how dare you ask for such a thing?
It's the truth. Will Johnson, you ready for Governor Walt's story number 2? I didn't know who this guy was when he got appointed. I got to be honest with you. I'm learning a lot. There's a lady named Lisa Hanson. She used to own a wine and coffee bistro in Minnesota. And she gave an interview. It's a very long interview. I just took a piece of it out to show us. She defied the lockdowns in Minnesota when she realized that everybody was open except small cafes, big box retailers, liquor stores, strip clubs. Okay. So she was closed for a while, and then she goes, I'm about to go bankrupt. So she opened up. Here's her story. She's a grandma. Check this out. She's not a big fan of Governor Walz.
Story concerning Governor Tim Walz and what he did to me, as well as so many other business owners in the state of Minnesota. So I'm a regular American, wife, mom, grandma, and very, very proud and thankful to be all of those things. I'm a hardworking business owner along with my husband for more than 30 years. We have owned and operated businesses and have always followed the law. I think the worst thing that has ever happened to me was when I was a teenager. I think I got a speeding ticket. Otherwise, we're just law-abiding people like most Americans are. Of course, we all know, I will never forget the year 2020 when COVID happened. And in the state of Minnesota, my business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and coffee bistro, and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the being shuttered and not being able to survive that because of what Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me and to my business, as well as our employees. And so what happened is with the first shutdown, we didn't really know what to do, what was going on, and we did comply. And I hate to say that, looking back at everything I've stood for, but we did comply because we didn't know what else to do. He never fully opened up the state. To point this out, who did he shut down? Governor Walz shut down only some of the businesses. The essential businesses got to stay open. So I guess that means that we were a non-essential business, but so he shut down bars, restaurants, gyms, dance studios, hair salons, etc. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day, mingling and being close. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs.
Wow. So I don't know about you, but I go to Home Depot about every 3 weeks, and sometimes there's 1,000 people in there, you know, and you pick up the stuff and you put it on the counter, and the checkout guy or gal picks it up and touches it and hands it back to you. And sometimes you go out in the aisles and there's guys touching stuff and handing them to you. I mean, it's a touch-a-thon.
Yeah.
Those stores stayed open, but a hardware store like, you know, True Value or Ace, that had to close. A local grocery store had to close, but Kroger could stay open.
Yep.
Right. This poor gal's little wine bistro, Mrs. Hanson, had to close, but the strip club could stay open, where people are touching each other like crazy and breathing on each other like crazy. This Tim Walz guy doesn't sound much like a libertarian to me.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. And, you know, and she even mentioned it at the very end, strip clubs, you know, with the girls on the pole. Mm-hmm. They stayed open. They didn't close those down.
Essential business.
And even some I'm kind of surprised that they actually shut her down. The reason why I say that, because I know liquor stores stayed open because they were essential too.
But not people that serve liquor, people that sell liquor.
Right,
like,
right.
You know,
here, yeah, if you like had a sports bar, you know, if you're an all-American sports bar, yeah, you have to be shut down.
But the liquor stores were open. And don't they hand you a bottle and breathe on you and touch the bottle and breathe on the bottle? And just saying.
You know what, Barry, and I'm looking in some of the comments here, and, you know, so I'm not going to say completely everything what one person said, but it's a complete true statement that it was used to do a whole bunch of cover up in, you know, in our history when it comes to, you know, this particular thing that we all exercise around November. I'll say it like that, right? But yeah, Nathan put the comment out there, and that's exactly what it is. It's the biggest. It was one of the biggest ones. And I truly believe to this day, Barry, that this happened worldwide because of Trump. And see, some people go, but well, that's kind of far-fetched. You mean to tell me that the entire world went along with this because of Trump? Absolutely. 100%. And Tim Walz, what he did in his state, he did it being a good person, how they used to be in the 1930s, 1940s, Germany. Same exact thing. And then he created the hotline. I mean, come on, you can't make it up.
If you see your neighbor, you mean to tell on your neighbor?
If you see your neighbor, you see your neighbor, step outside. Just step outside to pick up that newspaper. You call the number. We'll come pick them up. I mean, Barry, this is the United States of America. And they want this dude have this dude one, I guess you can't say one heartbeat because that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I guess this in this case, it would be one cackle away from being the most powerful person in the world.
I want you to save this thought because today is Triple Threat Day on Tim Walz. Wait till you see the next video. It's a perfect segue to what I'm going to show all of our viewers. Tim Walz reacted so harshly to the COVID shutdown, he sent what looks like black-shirted uniformed cops in riot gear out into the streets. And if you left your house when he said you couldn't, they would order you back in your house. You couldn't even sit on the porch.
Nope.
Wait till you see this video.
In open air at that, Barry. You're outside, open air.
Wait till you see this video. You're going to think it's fake. Check it out.
Look at this. They just keep coming.
Oh!
inside! Get inside! Get inside! Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house! Get in!
God, that hurt. You good? You okay? Right on the crotch. Are you okay? You got hit? I'm good. They're fucked for that, dude. What? Okay.
That's a family in Minneapolis getting shot by what looks like shot troops shooting paintballs. By the way, I've been to a paintball park with my kids when they were younger, teenagers. Paintballs really, really hurt.
Oh
You
yeah.
you get a black and blue welt like this, and sometimes you bleed if you get hit hard enough
Yep.
in the right spot. And that one lady said, "Oh my God, that hurts so much. I got shot in the crotch." And you heard the commander of that unit say, "Light them up."
Sure did. Sure did.
That's America. That family was on their front porch in the evening getting some fresh air. That's Tim Walz that ordered the police to do that.
You know who I would like to have a conversation with? The police officer that took the order, or the police chief that took the order and said implement it. What happened to the oath that these police officers took, Barry?
To uphold the Constitution, you mean?
What happened to that? They're actually on the streets doing this, and the police chief had no problem doing it. I mean, really, have we? And they got this whole campaign slogan, not going back. They just went back to the 1940s Germany, and they keep saying they're not going back. Are you kidding me? This is, and you know what? You know what's really disturbing about all of this, Barry, is that you have these tyrants on the left. They're so excited about that video. They love seeing that type of tyranny. And they go, we have to do this for the safety of our communities. We have to do this for the safety of the people. I mean, they're happy about that type of activity.
Wait. Let me back you up. So you're telling me that a liberal in this country could see that video. We don't know the politics of that mother and her kids, right? Where one of the ladies got shot in the crotch after the cops were told to light up the family. We know what that means. You telling me someone could watch that video and go, yeah, America.
No, they're probably not saying America because they hate America. They're probably saying, yeah, democracy. That's probably what they're saying. That's
tyranny, Will.
It really is. It kind of goes right along with every time they see J6 video. It's like Groundhog Day for them. It's like, oh my goodness, it's like New Year's Eve all over again. Yay, they love it. I mean, they get this whole sense of enjoyment out of seeing videos like that and out of seeing tyranny being implemented. They get this whole warm, tingling, fuzzy feeling.
Wow.
Or if they didn't, they wouldn't be going along with what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is trying to implement in the United States of America right now. They would be completely against it. They already have completely opened up about how they want to implement communism in the country. They're open about it. They're not even hiding it. The two people at the top of their ticket, not even hiding it. That's why I believe that you're going to see more like Ilhan Omar. I think they're going to come out and they're going to be open to it. They weren't open to it before with Bernie Sanders. Remember, because Bernie Sanders, he should have been at the top of the ticket in 2016, but they removed him because he was too much of a socialist. Now that President Trump has opened the eyes of people, they feel that they need to go to the extreme because they call President Trump extreme. So they feel that they need to go to the extreme.
They're going to go the other way. They're going as far the other way.
100%.
They're
calling Tim Walz down the center. They're calling him down the center.
Oh, goodness gracious. And we even talked about his military record that was faked. My
Oh
God.
man. And they
All
get
right.
upset with you when you bring that up. How dare you talk about his military career? And then, you
Yeah.
know, it's not even about him serving. It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do about when he lied about him going into battle. He lied. None of them say anything about that. Oh, how dare you talk about his military service? Well, did he go into military? Did he go into battle? How dare you?
But he talks about his PTSD and all that. It's weird. Just weird. And then he quit after they were being called up to go to Afghanistan, and he was supposed to lead his unit, and everybody in the unit still hates him for it.
Yeah.
They all went. He
Yeah.
didn't.
And he tried to say, well, the orders came after I retired. No, they didn't. The orders came and then he retired. Was it 22, 24 years? And he said, look, I'm out. I'm out. And because he had served that, you know, he had served over 20 years, they give you the option to go stay in or go out. And he
Right.
decided to go out, run like a coward.
And guys like your father, thank him for his service again. I'm sure that burns him up.
I don't know. He probably ignores it because my dad, I hate to say this, my dad, he doesn't like Trump. He likes Kamala Harris. He has nothing bad to say about him. They think that she's, you know, the savior. So they're probably looking at he's probably looking at him, which blows my mind that, you know, well, you can't talk about his career. And again, you're not talking about his service. We're talking about that he lied saying he went into battle. My father, he actually did. He has a Purple Heart. He has scars. But this dude, he has mental anguish because he had to go join Congress afterwards. And then he lied while he was in Congress. I mean, come on.
Moving on to my most infamous member of the squad, Rashida Tlaib. She's done something that's just horrible. There is, for those of you that want to see a picture of this gorgeous congresswoman, that's her on a good day. She's the one that the day she occupied her office hung a Palestinian flag instead of an American flag in her on the outside wall of her office. She has now been found out to have copied and pasted and promoted a made-up news item. It was an Israeli public opinion on rape, and she published this saying that 47% of Israelis believe IDF soldiers can rape Palestinians. It was tweeted by a lady named Nura Urakat, who admitted on X it was completely faked. It was a doctored image of a faked public opinion survey. And Rashida Tlaib reposted it and doctored it on X and promoted it everywhere. And the Michigan congresswoman wouldn't take it down, wouldn't apologize, wouldn't correct it. And the lady that had first found the poll said, the poll is fake. I don't expect some random loser to care, but I do expect a member of Congress to not retweet this dreck. Dreck is a Israeli word for, well, poop. And then she posted, "You're a disgrace, Representative Tlaib." The post is still up. It's completely made up. It's completely fraudulent. But why let the truth get in the way when you're trying to create a narrative? By the way, she won her primary again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Just like Ilhan Omar won her primary.
Yep.
I'm not surprised, but there's still a chance. Probably not going to happen, but there's still a chance. There's still hope, you know, going into the general. But nonetheless, you know, Barry, it's not surprising. And I know you're not surprised either that she would put out fraudulent information because of her hatred for Israel. I mean, I don't think anyone would be surprised by that. And she's not going to stop. And of course, getting caught putting up Can we say it? Disinformation?
It's just
Misinformation,
fake.
misleading?
It's just faked. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, just fake. She's not going to take it down because this is the lie that they want to push. They have an agenda to tell everyone to tell a lie as much as possible and get everyone to believe it. Now, everyone that goes to her post about that, the article, and they read it, the people that follow her and believe her nonsense and all these woke leftists, when they read that, they're going to take it as for what it is. That is factual information. So she's done her job. That's the whole point.
Yeah, if it's coming from a congresswoman, you would expect the information to be checked, right? And
well, maybe she was very sorry to cut you off, but maybe she was doing a parody like Adam Schiff was. Remember, he did the parody because she should be censored for doing it. There should be consequences. If you're a member of Congress, both the House or the Senate, and you're putting out false statements and you deliberately put them out there, there should be consequences, not more so than just being voted out. There should be consequences with inside of Congress saying you blatantly did this, like Adam Schiff. He was censored. She should be censored as well. Fire Marshal Bowman, what he did, he ended up being censored. But it should be more than just that. These people should be penalized for blatantly doing this. They're supposed to be telling the truth. They're supposed to be fighting for justice. They're supposed to be doing what is right. More so than anyone else throughout the entire country, you do what is right. Regardless if anyone likes it or not, you do the right thing. These people don't want to do the right thing. They should be held responsible, held accountable. And I don't know why they're not. Maybe because every time we hear politicians or see a politician's mouth moving, what do we say?
They're lying. Do you remember when Minnesota was on fire after the George Floyd killing? And,
it was mostly peaceful, nothing to see here.
Right. And major cities were burning to the ground. A lot of people don't want to remember the rioting that just leveled cities after cities.
Yeah, it was over $2 billion. Actually, it was over $2 billion worth of insurance policies filed.
Amazingly, both Democrat candidates have a tie to Minnesota and the riots. And let me explain. J.D. Vance, the Republican presidential nominee, is calling that the burn and bail team of politicians. And let me translate what that means. Governor Walz let the burning and the rioting go on for days as he thought about what he should do. I mean, businesses were burning it down. People were being killed. Life savings were being wiped out. And the governor was thinking about what to do.
Yeah.
Before calling in the National Guard and the police to stop it, which would have been stopped in an hour. At the same time, current Vice President Kamala Harris led the fundraising to bail out everybody that got arrested for burning the state to the ground. I want you to see a video that the Trump campaign just released that explains this perfectly.
09.50. Harris sending this out on X. If you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota.
Thanks to Harris's promotion, the group reportedly raised $35 million in just a few weeks.
Darnica Floyd, charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. She got out of jail, too. A twice-convicted rapist, currently charged with kidnapping and sexual assault, and he walks out, too.
The Freedom Fund raked in donations when it was promoted by many, including now Vice President Kamala Harris.
Sean Michael Tillman shot and killed a passenger on a train platform after reportedly being released from jail 3 weeks prior. All thanks to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
Donovan Boone was charged with breaking into the home of an ex-girlfriend and choking her. Freedom Fund bailed him out for $3,000 cash, and he hasn't shown up for court since.
I often don't even look at a charge specifics when I bail someone out.
The Hennepin County attorney called out the Minnesota Freedom Fund for bailing Mosley out of jail twice previously, even though he was arrested for having a gun in the courthouse.
The Minnesota Freedom Fund, which pays cash bail for low-income criminals, paid Tims's entire $10,000 bail in cash.
11 days later, police found a man bleeding from the head and ears in this alley. Police were able to arrest Tims in connection to this violent assault.
Howard was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. The Minnesota Freedom Fund acknowledged supporting Howard's bail.
Is that one of the most powerful political ads you've ever seen in your life?
Yep, but the people that should care about it won't care.
What? Explain that to me, because that's one of those, I've never heard you say something like that, and for the life of me, you better be wrong.
Well, they don't see it as an issue. They see the whole thing that took place was because of George Floyd, police brutality, racial discrimination, oppression. That's how they see it. So they justify everything that was in that video. They see nothing wrong with it. Barry, when I'm constantly saying that our society is collapsing, reality is going away. You have people absolutely doing wrong things, and they create a statue for a criminal. Our society is collapsing. You have people, police officers, getting beat up by people that shouldn't even be here, and then they let them right back out. Our society is collapsing.
But I think the part you need to focus on, at least on this segment, I'm not disagreeing with you. Kamala Harris raised tens of millions of dollars, and it wasn't just George Floyd people. It wasn't just rioters. The Minnesota Freedom Fund was bailing everybody out: murderers, rapists, robbers, right? People that committed assault and battery. As you heard, the skinny guy on there that ran the fund, I didn't even look at what the charges were. I bailed everybody out.
Yeah, that's because they're collapsing our society. It's straight up good versus evil. I mean, I hate to be so, simplistic with it, but that's what it is. It's good versus evil. Kamala Harris is the epitome of that evilness. Bail them all out so they can have them back on the street, so they can create more chaos, more crime. And I've been touting this for years now, that they need the chaos. Barry, let me put it to you this way. If we have a country where none of the violence is happening, the crime's not happening, people going to work, people taking care of their families, you're not having high gas prices, you don't have high food prices, you're not on the verge of World War III, what would the left have to talk about? What would be their agenda? So they have to destroy all of that so they can come in and try to act like they're there to save the day. And when these people see all of the stuff like that, these criminals, hardened criminals, well, you have to be compassionate to the criminal. What about the compassion to they're human beings? We have to show compassion to them. And that's what's happening. Not the victims, not the people that lost their livelihood, not the people that lost their businesses, not the people that lost loved ones. No, we don't show compassion to them. We show compassion to the people who created this chaos, to the people who did the destruction. That's who they want to show passion to. Empathy. It's our society. Wow. And, Barry, I don't think a lot of people actually really grasp that, right? Because it's getting worse. And again, it's just like I mentioned a minute ago. These are topics and subjects that we shouldn't even be discussing. This shouldn't be stuff that's happening. Maybe in the movies, only in the movies, but this is reality.
I got a movie one for you next, starring a movie star and your favorite vice president, Will Johnson. Do you remember Jussie Smollett, the TV and movie star from the infamous hoax in Chicago? For those of you that don't remember, because it's a couple of years ago, Jesse Smollett was this actor, won a lot of awards. He called the police because he escaped from a lynching. They were going to put a noose around his neck and hang him in Chicago. At the time, Senator Kamala Harris adopted him as her cause. And this is after Smollett claimed that two masked men doused him with bleach, put a rope around his neck, said this is MAGA country, and they were going to hang him. Kamala Harris said, Jesse Smollett is one of the kindest, most gentle human beings I know. I'm praying for his quick recovery. That was one of her posts. She called it a modern day lynching. No one should have to fear for his life because of their sexuality or color of his skin. We must confront this hate. And then it came out a couple weeks later that Smollett made the whole thing up. He hired these two African guys to fake the whole thing. And the police saw through it pretty quickly after spending several $100,000 because Senator Harris and Joe Biden actually made it a national issue, right?
Yep.
The facts were wrong. Let me show you what he looks like. This is him with his main supporter. That's Senator Harris at the time. A Chicago Police Department detective, Eugene Roy, said, this is a guy with 30 years of experience, was so upset. He said, it's one thing to express your support for a friend. It's another thing to use your platform as a government official to prejudice a case before it's played out, before all the facts are known. The facts were established in court. Prosecutors presented evidence that Smollett recruited two brothers. I don't want to say their names because I'll probably say it wrong. They have African names. They staged the whole thing. Smollett, who is black and gay, then said that he told the police that he was a victim of a racist and homophobic attack by two men wearing ski masks. And then the video surveillance, the GPS evidence, the text messages between Smollett and the two African guys where they set the whole thing up. He was found guilty of 5 charges after a 2-week trial and sentenced to jail. He was ordered to pay a restitution of $120,000, another $25,000 in fines. And then the sentence was appealed by his very, very, very good lawyers. Have you ever heard Kamala Harris come out and say, oh man, I really blew it on this. I messed up. This guy is a criminal.
Of course not. She never will. She'll never admit to doing something wrong. And you know what? As soon as the story happened, she jumped on top of it.
Oh yeah,
without any evidence.
Some of her quotes. Yeah.
Yeah, without any evidence, no proof. Oh, look at this racial tension. And even though, Barry, it came out later on that it was completely fraudulent story, bunch of lies, and she knew that it was lies, which you just alluded to. Why didn't she say anything? She's not going to say anything. She never will. The reason being is because we want to put the story out there, the narrative out there that the MAGA Republicans are racist. MAGA country. Remember, that was the expression, MAGA country. And then the dude went back to his apartment and he had the noose around his neck, and the police showed up and said, you still got the noose around your neck? Yeah, I wanted to make sure that you could see it. Are you kidding me?
The whole thing was a fake.
100% fake. 100% fake. And Kamala Harris went along with the lie. Why? Because the lie felt good. The lie is something that we can embrace. So we went right along with it. This is Kamala Harris. Go along with the lie, because we can say that MAGA Republicans are racist, white people are racist, no white people involved. But
you know what? That is such a great introduction. Go along with the lie to our next segment. because it's about, Will Johnson, Kamala Harris, the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party, lying. Here's her reaction. Here's her reaction to being charged with what I'm going to explain to you. This is outrageous. I'm sure you know about it. The Kamala Harris campaign team is editing news headlines and then reposting fake headlines. And they post them on Google, so it looks like all these various publications are saying how great she is. I can read you some. Here's one from The Guardian. Vice President Harris fights abortion bans. Harris defends reproductive freedom. That's in The Guardian. And right above it in small type, paid for by Harris for president. They made up the headline. Here's another one. Vice President Harris's economic vision for lower costs and higher wages, a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. We won't go back to the failed trickle-down policies that hurt. That's from AP News, made up and posted by Harris for president. Sounds like AP said it. Here's another one from NPR.org. Trump will terminate the Affordable Care Act. Harris will lower health care costs. Donald Trump would repeal the ACA and kick millions off their health insurance. Kamala Harris will lower the cost of high-quality, affordable health care. Paid for by Harris for president. Fake headline. And on and on and on. It's been posted from CNN, USA Today, NPR, AP, Arizona Republic, USA Today Network, Guardian, The Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, Associated Press, and on and on.
Yep.
I've got
CNN, Reuters.
I've got dozens.
However you say it.
Yeah, Reuters news agency. I've got dozens of these.
New York Times.
Dozens. They're all faked.
Barry.
So if you Google her, you're going to see all these headlines about how great she is. They're all made up.
Yeah. Barry. What if President Trump did the same thing? What would these news organizations say right now? What would they be doing?
Oh boy. Roasting him alive.
Would they not would they not be trying to sue him for using their logo? Because they actually use the logo from these different fake news organizations. They would be in the process right now trying to sue President Trump for copyright infringement, using their likeness.
That's an interesting point. Why isn't AP defending their logo? Why isn't CBS News defending their logo? The Washington Post.
If it was Trump, they would be suing him. Copyright infringement, something. They would be suing him, trying to have him hemmed up, trying to take money from him, trying to say, oh my goodness, look what he did. This is so bad. He actually did this and used our liking to put out disinformation, false information. You remember Joe Biden's administration created the disinformation board.
That's true.
But here they are, the main one pushing disinformation. But you know what Google said? Google said it was just a glitch, Barry. Did you see that? Google said it was a glitch.
What was the glitch part? That all the headlines got rewritten by the Harris campaign and got posted after being paid for?
No, that part the Harris campaign did. They're not taking credit for that. They're taking responsibility because it showed up like an article instead of just like an ad. Showed up an article so people would read the headline and they would click on it to go to Kamala Harris and for donation. All of these organizations, they are government state media. None of them have a problem with Kamala Harris doing this fraudulent activity because they all support her. Google, they don't have a problem with it either. Put it this way, Barry, I used to have articles all the time on my website. And every time I would put an article on my website, it could be 100% factual, but because they didn't like the angle or they didn't like the information, they would come back and say it was misleading because I had Google AdSense connected to my website. They said it was misleading, even though it's 100% factual. Oh, it's misleading, or it's missing content because you didn't have something else in it that they thought that should have been in there. But this blatantly in our faces, disinformation, completely fake, changing the headlines. Oh, it's just a glitch. And then they were asking well, these companies should talk to Google about it. And everyone's saying, why? I just heard Lawrence O'Donnell on not Lawrence, I think it's Lawrence O'Donnell. Lawrence, I can't remember his last name. It was on Fox News, and he was saying, why do you need to talk to Google? Why not talk to the campaign? The company should talk to campaign. Why are you using their logo, their likeness? Nothing happened.
Well,
nothing to see here.
This is not a nothing thing. This really isn't.
It really isn't, because if it was you or I, they would be coming after us right now to shut us down.
We'd be deplatformed already.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And even then, Google. Remember, I'm pretty sure you remember this in 2016. No, it was the 2020 election. Remember, Tulsi Gabbard was going against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. What did Google do to her? She spent money for ads, and they wouldn't allow it to happen.
Right.
They deplatformed her.
That's what I was going to say. She was off.
Yeah. She was trying to spend campaign money to promote her campaign, and they said no. But this is sickening.
Well, the extreme anti-Semitism at the United Nations, especially among the senior staff, is horrifying. I've got a current example for you. Francesca Albanese is the UN rapporteur. Basically, in French, I guess it means special envoy for the Palestinians. She has been critical of Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories. And going back to her first report, when she first started, she developed a plan to end the Israeli settler colonial occupation and apartheid. Now, we've gone over this for months and months and months. There is no apartheid. There's no occupation. But to her, there is. This is the lady that is so filled with hate for the Jewish state. And no matter how many complaints come in, she will not be replaced. I want you to see her level of hate for Israel and the Jewish people, and it's all in this one post. This is a picture.
Oh, wow.
Of Adolf Hitler being greeted by his supporters in the time of the Nazis. And this is Bibi Netanyahu being greeted in Congress. And if you look at the bottom of the post, Francesca Albanese likes the post, meaning Hitler is the same as Bibi Netanyahu. No correction from the United Nations, no objection from the UN ambassador from the United States. They just let that stuff go. So Hitler, who caused 100 million deaths, is the same as the democratically elected prime minister of Israel, whose citizens were slaughtered in October by maniacs. It has 100,000 likes. And she supports it.
Yep, and viewed by 1.5 million people.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Hitler is the same as Netanyahu.
You know what? I've seen a lot of people spreading this stupidity like this all over social media, especially on X. I don't so much see it on Facebook, but on X, because, there's more free speech that happens on X. I've seen this all over the place on X, and a lot of these people are trying to make this association or the connection between Benjamin Netanyahu and Adolf Hitler, where there is no connection. And it doesn't even make any sense. This is liberal logic 101. It's stupidity, because Benjamin Netanyahu is actually defending his country, defending his people. It wasn't him that attacked on October 7th. It wasn't him. It was the people with the same mindset as Adolf Hitler. They have the same mindset, but they embrace those people. If they found, and you know what's really crazy? They keep trying to say that Benjamin Netanyahu is like Adolf Hitler, but they embrace Adolf Hitler because he wanted to exterminate the Jews. These same people that are trying to make this association, they want to exterminate the Jews too. So that's liberal logic for you again, Barry. They're not even really putting it together. They have more in common with Adolf Hitler than they do Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi. They have more in common with Hitler because they both hate the Jewish people. They both hate Israel.
Well, I've saved the worst for last. And this is the story about someone who hates the Jewish people and hates Israel. And I thought I wasn't going to have to do another story like this, but here we are. I thought my video of last month that you participated in would have handled the situation. And what I'm referring to is I took great exception a month ago to a video that Candace Owens put out that was a vicious rewriting of history on her platform. And she declared in that video last month, with no proof, no evidence, just a feeling that the barbaric torture of inmates at the Auschwitz concentration camp didn't happen because to her, it didn't make any sense. And it would be a waste of supplies to torture Jews. And as I said in the video, my family was there. My mother was a nurse in that ward and witnessed it personally. In addition to the numbers of my family that were killed and tortured there by people like infamous Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele. In that video, I refuted everything that she said. I refuted her feelings, and I invited her to call me so we could get her educated to the most documented crime in human history. There are literally millions of feet of film shot by the Nazis, video, still pictures. And when the camps were liberated, generals, including Eisenhower, said, I want everything documented so no one will ever dispute what happened here. And here we are in 2024, and Candace Owens is making a career out of it. That was last month. Fortunately, over 1 million people have seen our video. I hope I cleared up the facts for them. Now, a month later, she attacks more Jewish history, Will. This time, she's making the unbelievable, absurd claim that the Star of David, that star right behind me on the Israeli flag and worn around the necks by millions of Jews, in Hebrew called the Magen David, which is the shield of David, King David from the Bible. It's the international symbol of jewelry around the world, was made up in the late 1800s, and it was adopted by Jews because it had been an evil pagan symbol that represented, get this, child sacrifice.
Wow.
Let me show you how her segment begins. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's an hour show.
This is a big thing, by the way. So I'm really hoping that a lot of people who are Jewish are watching this as well. That struck me as really odd when I was learning about Sabbatianism. And this really shocked me in my core because I've always told you guys I grew up with a large Jewish community. All my best friends were Jewish growing up. And I've always seen like the Star of David. That is a lot of Jewish people wear as a necklace, you know, and I thought that that was associated traditionally somehow with Judaism. And so I was very surprised. And I will ask the question, do you know the history of the Star of David? Why is it being called the Star of David? And I'm just going to just show you guys this straight up on Wikipedia. So if it's on Wikipedia, basically after they've obscured everything, that just must mean that it's just such an irreversible fact, because you wouldn't even want to admit this. But this is what the entry shows you about the Star of David, because it's actually a very recent thing that has been adopted from the Jewish community. Okay, it's not something stemming from the ancient times. And this is exactly what it reads. It reads that it is a derivative of the seal of Solomon, was used for decorative and mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. I want you to remember that, okay? So it's a derivative of the seal of Solomon. King Solomon was used for decorative and mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. It also goes on to say that only around 1 millennium later did the star begin to be used as a symbol to identify Jewish communities, a tradition that seems to have started in Prague before the 17th century. I want you to remember that as well. And from there spread to much of Eastern Europe in the 19th century. It came to be adopted by European Jews as a symbol to represent Jewish religion or identity. In the same manner, the Christian cross identified the religion's believers. The symbol became representative of the worldwide Zionist community after it was chosen as the central symbol on a flag at the first Zionist Congress in 1897. So this is a recent symbol. But I'm going to...
I am so angry to hear that, because I'm hearing lie, 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 lie. Let's begin with the fact that she says it's on Wikipedia, so it must be true.
Right there. Sorry, Barry. Soon as she came out with that, it's on Wikipedia, so it must be factual. It must be true. She's done. I mean, what happened to her?
You can post anything on Wikipedia.
And you can update it. I mean, really, you can, Wikipedia, you can go in there and update it and make it say whatever it is you want it to say. And she knows this.
Well, that's because she's an anti-Semite, Will, and she had to have some source. This could have been written by her friends that are anti-Semites. The fact of the matter is, her saying the symbol is a couple hundred years old is a lie. The shield of David, the Star of David, is mentioned in the Talmud, the ancient biblical analysis that was written in the 300 and 400s after the New Testament came out. It predates what she's talking about by 1,400 years. It has been associated with Jews. Are we hearing this?
Yeah.
The idea that she talks about later, that this has to do with devil worship and child sacrifice and Moloch. She has other stuff she pulled out of the internet showing a Jewish star with horns on it. I mean, I guess she doesn't have a research department. I guess what she does is says to her staff, hey, it's been a month. Let's attack Jews again with false claims because I don't like Jews. I have no other explanation for it. She talks about the Canaanites and child sacrifices and satanic rituals. None of it has anything to do with Jews ever. She just makes it up.
Yeah.
She's got millions of people that follow her. Her intention is to cause people to be upset with Jews. And she's using anti-Semitic tropes that have been used for centuries, that in the old days ended up with pogroms. Whole Jewish villages wiped out. I'm so stunned that this bright woman who has this monster platform has decided that the Jewish people are her enemy. And once a month, she does another show proving A, her ignorance, B, her hatred for Jews. I have no other explanation that I can.
I think all of this started because of what happened between her and Ben Shapiro and the Daily Caller. I think she's a scorned woman, and I think she's looking for revenge. Instead of taking it out on Daily Caller and directly going to Ben Shapiro, she wants to take it out on the entire Jewish community. Was she completely going to Wikipedia? I mean, really? I mean, come on. I mean, so Jordan Peters, Jordan Peters, you know who Jordan Peters is, right?
I mean, Peterson.
Jordan Peterson? Yeah, thank you. Jordan Peterson. He's not Jewish, is he? He's not Jewish. But he's not saying hateful stuff about Jewish people. I've never heard him say anything hateful. He actually, to my understanding, just come to realize that God, it really is real and exists. And there's videos with him crying. The reason why I bring him up is because she looked at him as a mentor. So if she's not gonna call you and listen to you, I wonder if he would talk to her. And you know what? Be honest with you, Barry, I could care less about Candace Owens. I've had people throughout the years tell me, you can't trust Candace Owens. She's a snake. She's a lie. And during that time, I was like, I don't know. I'm not really seeing it. But now, that was something that I didn't see. I went to Turning Point USA. There was an event in Arizona with Turning Point USA. And Candace Owens was there. Charlie Kirk was there. And I was there with other Black people, influencers. And nothing about Israel came up. Everything came up about how the left, the Democrats, were using Black people to get them to, to target the Black community. So we had an objective to just allow Black people to know the truth. Open your eyes to what was happening. Charlie Kirk has been very outspoken about his support for Israel. And the two of them were really close. So I'm just kind of curious what the relationship is between them two right now.
I can find out. I have connections there, and I will follow your lead, and I will ask. But I know she worked at Prager.
Sure did.
That's where she got her start. And Dennis Prager is an observant Jew. She worked at Turning Point USA, and the founder, Charlie Kirk, is a passionate Zionist Christian, like you.
Yep.
And then she went to Ben Shapiro's organization, and Ben Shapiro is an Orthodox observant Jew. So she's turned on everybody. I don't know what's happened, but I can tell you, as of now, she is the most famous anti-Semite Jew hater in America.
Yeah. Well, on the outside looking in, she's scorned. She's upset with PragerU, upset with Turning Point, upset with Daily Caller. And all of them are connected with Jewish people, which is not an issue. But she's scorned. There's something else going on because she knows better than go over to Wikipedia and say it must be factual. Really? We might as well go over to CNN and say, oh, it's on CNN, so it must be true. It says Kamala Harris is not the border czar, so it's on CNN. It must be true.
I know high school teachers. I know college professors. If you walk in with a term paper and you quote Wikipedia, you get an F and you get the paper handed back to you because everybody knows that Wikipedia is made up by people who post whatever they want. Some of it's true, some of it's a little bit true, and some of it's just BS.
Yeah.
And you find anything you want on Wikipedia, and if you don't find what you're looking for, take 10 minutes, type it up yourself, post it, and then you can quote yourself with a different name. And that's what she's just done. Shame on you, Candace Owens. This is the second time I've had to do a video on it. And meanwhile, you're carrying the crown of the biggest anti-Semite in America.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Will. I appreciate it. We'll see you next Thursday. I look forward to maybe some better news. For now, goodbye for American Truth Project and Unite America First. From Will and Barry, we will see you all next week.